Furious Driving, proud to be supported by Bidding Classics, the online classic car marketplace with more cars added every week. Diamond Bright, protecting, cleaning and caring for the Furious fleet and for yours with 10% off using code FD10. And Lancaster Insurance cover the Furious fleet. They are one of the biggest specialist insurers in the UK, covering all areas of vintage to modern classic cars and motorbikes. Follow the links in the description below. Hello and welcome to Furious Driving. It's another day, another Rover 75 video. And I tell you what, my postman is starting to get a hernia from all the things that are turning up at the moment. First of all, we have got a enormous selection of service items, because GSF had a big 65% off sales. They've got oil, filters, spark plugs, all that kind of thing. The running problem with number 4 misfire, Colin on the internet again has come up with some great advice. New spark plugs and get the gap exactly right, because they're really finicky, and that should probably solve that with a new set of these NGK laser platinums, which you've got to set to between 0.7 and 0.8 of a millimetre exactly, and that should solve that. Oil, filter, cabin filter, all good. Also, very exciting, we have got a new steering wheel, which is so new I haven't even opened it yet. We'll be enjoying the reveal together because this is still in the wrapper, so let's find out how good the steering wheel actually is. Tiny knife, as always, to the rescue. Now this is from a facelift car, so it's got the later logo, but this centre section should be interchangeable with my earlier centre section, but we have now got a rather lovely wooden steering wheel. Oh dear, let's not have that explode. So we'll disregard that newer centre section, use the old bit. We've got the horns, we've got hopefully functioning now steering wheel controls, we've got decent leather on this bit, and we've got lovely timber on this bit. This is a major upgrade, which I think I offered the guy about £80 for, including postage. It's quite a lot of money for a 20-year-old used steering wheel, but it will make a big old difference to the car. That's very good indeed. So, in this video, we're going to change that. We're going to fit the new indicator stalk. We're going to service it, but first of all, as it's sunny, I'm going to start with the paintwork. Using some stuff I've not actually used before from Diamond Bright. Ultra Glaze, which is new car polish for finishing off with, but starting with diamond cut used car polish. In the broadest possible analogous terms, this is a bit like teacup, but a lot nicer. I saw it being used on some things about 100 times more valuable than this thing the other day, and it brought it up fabulously. So my Rover 75 should look a treat with this on. So first of all, let's get polishing. Now overall, this car's paintwork is actually really very nice condition indeed. I actually popped down to the paint shop down the road where the old owner spent 550 odd pounds back in 2018. It turns out he had both front bumpers painted, and he actually had a new back bumper I think he had. So I'm guessing parking dings were getting a bit much, and he paid to have them all eradicated, which is really nice. It shows how much he cared about this car. But before I start with the cut and polish, I'm going to use some clay bar just to lift out some of the contaminants that are in the paint, and that will mean it'll polish up just a little bit more smoothly. So this kind of dirt comes out of the paint, and you're not polishing that back into the bodywork when you come to polish it with the machine. And already that feels virtually like glass, whereas that feels a bit like sandpaper, even though it looks really clean and shiny on the car. And so from a bonnet that actually looks really clean to begin with and was washed just a few hours ago, I've got this brown goop, and the bonnet does actually now feel really lovely and smooth. There are a few abrasion marks in the paintwork, which I'll now tackle with the grindy machine, well, the polisher. Anyway, so I'll pop to Halfords. I've got a 3-pack of different densities of foam pad. This is the hard one. I'm going to start off with the diamond cut on the hard pad, and that will give us a nice base to polish up from. So it's nice and slow to begin with. So, buff on, buff off. Oh, lovely and smooth, I like that. That feels good. Just need now to do the entire car. The main thing that will be the passenger side, which is nice and tight against that fence obviously, because that's where there are lots of little marks from rubbing against hedges and so forth. Now I suspect you can't tell any difference at all on camera now. The left hand side of the bonnet has now been diamond cutted, right hand side has merely been clay barred. There is a little scuff in the paint, which you probably can't see just here. I'm going to see if the diamond cut will take that out, so we're back to a nice smooth finish there. Okay, that is now completely diamond cut all over. There were quite a few swirl marks I saw once I started looking and catching the light, and it's taken the majority of them out really rather well. This one up here has virtually completely gone. It does actually fail the lick test, which is if you put your wet finger on there and run your finger over it. If it completely disappears, that means you can polish it out. If you can still see it after you've run a wet finger down there, that means it's not polishable, and that doesn't quite fade out with a lick test. So we've done a really good job of making that very, very not visible. Overall, the bonnet is beautiful. So now I just need to go and whiz around off camera, because it's going to get boring, and bring the rest of the car to the same point. Okay, this entire side of the car that I can reach, isn't against a fence, is now clay barred. I tell you what, the feel of the paint is just, oh, it's amazing. It's like silk. Even nicer where I've done the diamond cut on it. Every stage just gives an extra little glow as you get the dirt out of the paint. The light can refract out of it and just look a bit more sparkly and more special. The whole car is like a big sapphire jewel. Because it's got lovely sort of heavy chrome trim all down the side, like on a Rolls or a Bentley or something, I'm going to try and keep the cutting compound off that. I'm not sure how well this is going to work, but we'll give it a whirl anyway. What do you know? It didn't get chewed off in a second. Buff away and look at that shine. It's a beautiful thing. Amazing. Such a rewarding thing. Nice little bufferation. Now we're going to go in with the Ultra Glaze, which is a fine polish. You can apply it with a cloth, but I prefer going this way. Now, I believe this is a mixture of Montan and Carnauba waxes, and it does smell a lot like an old school car wax. The ones that leave a lovely, rich, deep gloss on things. Because this is the final shiny coat, I'm going to treat it to a buffing buddy, a super soft, lovely, well, it's called a microfiber, but it feels beyond microfiber, this thing. Feels like something you should be sleeping on. I keep asking the company to go and make a full sort of blanket size one of these things, because it's absolutely gorgeous. Like a big thick fleece. I love it. Oh, would you look at that? A delicious shine we've got here. Wow, that front end does now look genuinely amazing. It's so smooth and sparkly. It's something to behold. Problem is now I've got to do the entire rest of the car, which is quite fun, but it does take a while. I won't bother filming all that because you're going to get very bored, even on time-lapse. Well, okay, that is impressive. This is proper see your face in it kind of reflective, soft, lustrous paint. And it helps that the car is in genuinely amazing conditions. The paint is so very good. It's come back to a lot better than new, frankly. The clay bar's taken the contaminants out. The diamond cut has cut it back to like a smooth finish, and the Ultra Glaze has just given it a beautiful deep shine and smooth finish to just make it perfect. And this thing looks, it's see your face kind of shine in there. Absolutely beautiful. Now, of course, I've got to move the thing forward and do the other half as well, which will take another hour or two. But, you know, at least the car is looking good for it. Right, so now the car is as sparkly as it's physically possible to ever be again in its life. The next thing to do is to service it. But before we do that, I'm going to disconnect the battery so the airbag can discharge. So once I've done the oil change, we can then... Ooh, I hate these BMW clamps. We can then safely change. So the next part of this fun game is play Hunt the Drain Plug and Oil Filter. Now this is a 1.8K series, which means the drain plug is just there on the front of the engine by the driver's front wheel, and the oil filter, looking up from the drain plug, is just in there, really accessible and quite messy as it goes as well. Do I have to take this plastic panel out to get to it? Yeah, I think I probably do, don't I? Well, the tray comes off with just those half dozen crosshead screws. Then you want your 15mm socket on there, and this might actually need the breaker bar, or it might not. It does! Right, the big breaker is on it. There we go, that's cracked up now. So we can go to the ratchet and get ready to be making a horrible mess. That doesn't look too bad, to be honest. Now, while that continues to drain out, use one of these claw things to get the oil filter out from above the drain. There we go. And off it comes. These things make life so much easier. There we go, and that was a Wix filter, so decent quality in there, which is good. So that will drain out now. Now while that's draining down, we'll quickly do the air filter, which should just snap off easily, I hope. Oh no, it's screwed on. Of course it is. Why wouldn't you screw an air filter on? There we go, that's one air filter, which actually looks pretty grotty to be fair. New one, much shinier. And that's got two little hingy peg things at the bottom, which are probably easier to do if you've undone the air pipe, which I haven't because I'm lazy. Back this goes. And the other thing to do is this cabin filter, which I've been warned, these catches break off really easily. Fortunately, they've been pre-broken for me, so I don't have to worry about that. So off they pop, and that can then lift up. And what you have to do next is undo these 7 little plastic clips here, and this panel lifts out so you can get access to it. Unfortunately, someone has been in before and then broken the end off this. They've just tried to pull it and then tried to glue it, so I'll have to re-glue that as well. Oh, that just popped out and vanished. In fact, 2 of them have done that now. So yeah, the old one did slide out without taking the other wiper off. Let's not make things too difficult on ourselves. And the new one could just slide in as well. And we are in. And I didn't need to take the second wiper off, which is nice. Drain plug, filter back in place, so I can lower the car down and make life a bit easier up top. But before I put the thing back on, I'm just going to give this a quick splurt over with the brake and clutch, because it's looking very oily indeed. I want to see if this comes back or not. Right, so if that's oily, next time we change the oil in this car, we know we've got a problem with a leak somewhere. Otherwise it was just some messy people dribbling oil around the place. Bottom end done. An extra little job before this all goes back together and this rubber strip gets returned is this grime just here. It lives under this rubber strip, so quick detailing that out, which will make a nice difference to the car. Right, everything is now buttoned up underneath the car. Oil filter, oil plug back in, panel back on. All that's buttoned up at the back of the car for the air filter. I need to kind of repair that or rebond that panel over there. I have lost 2 of these little clips which pinged off over the drive somewhere, so I'll keep hunting the drive till I find them at some point. Meanwhile, I'm going to change the spark plugs, because when we did the P-scan on it, we revealed a misfire on plug number 4. Now, I've now been told that these are mega sensitive to the spark plug gap. They've got to be, oh, they're pretty tight actually. They're 60,000 mile interval, so it's not even reached its spark plug interval yet, but it needs to be set to about 0.8 of a millimetre. So these are slightly too high actually, so a screwdriver to give it a little tap down, and a bigger screwdriver to give this a little tap down. Right, that is now gapped to 0.8 of a millimetre, quite tight. Get that in there, we'll see how the car runs. We've done all 4 of them. God, these tips are really burnt and worn out. These have clearly been in it since I think about 2003, so good time to change them. For bonus fun points, 2 of these are actually held in by bolts, which if you're used to pre-1990 cars is a fun novelty. I say fun novelty, not. Neither's that. Okay. I need a magnetic pickup tool thing. Dagnammit. So now we just dump in 4.5 litres of 10 WF-40 and we're done at the front end of the car. And we could do a fuel filter as well, but it's only so much fun you can have in one day. Okay, right, now the oily stuff is done, we can do the fun stuff of taking this horrible old wheel off and putting the nice new wooden one on. Now what you need is a Torx T30, but a screwdriver, not a socket on the end of a thing, because it's really deep inside there and it's a really narrow little hole to get through. So you need to turn the wheel 90 degrees and then you've got one either side. Obviously the airbag has been left to discharge for ages now. God, that's really tight. There we go. Much easier than on the Volkswagen. There we go. Now, carefully undo this connector on here. Might need a screwdriver to just gently pry it out. We're scared of me doing airbags, even when they've been discharged as long as this. There we go. That is free. We'll save this because the new steering wheel has got the unpleasant later facelift. Set this back to straight. lock the wheels, it's not going to make any odds, so, and go and find whatever socket fits on that. Right, so this appears to be a 16mm. I don't know why I didn't go and get the ugga-dugga gun for this. Much easier. Okay, now that is virtually off. We've seen me do this a couple of times before, you know the drill. Don't take it all the way out. Set the wheel dead square on the dashboard so the splines go back properly. Give it a whack towards yourself so you don't, that saves you from taking your teeth out. And then we go, say goodbye to this. A second connector for the horns and radio. Just here. Okay, got you. Undug there. And this one can go in the bin. Now this rather beautiful wooden one can find its way back on here. Get the clock spring pointing the right direction. A couple of things that turn really easily is that they turn really easily. Is that square on the... Yeah, I think that's straight. There we go, so that can then get clicked onto there. Big bolts can get screwed into there. Yeah, should I Loctite it? Yeah, I'll Loctite it. You can't be too careful with the steering wheel. Drop a thread lock. So it's going nowhere. Not what I thought it was anyway. Let's ugga-dugga gun this. I'm going to call that tight and myself deaf. Then, very simply, we refit the airbag light. Airbag. Let's hope there's no light. Pop that back on there. And then, screw the airbag back on again. And that is job done. And that is done. And does that not look 1,000 times better than that, with a gaping hole in the back of it? Such a massive improvement. One thing I did realise I hadn't done a second after I put that back together was indicator stalk. You numpty. So yeah, I'm hoping I can get that done by undoing the shroud somehow and not having to take the wheel off again. Fingers crossed and all that. Right, so everything's tidied away. Let's fire this thing up and make sure... Oh, the radio controls still don't work, so there must be some other problem with the loom on that one. Let's see if it fires up. Horn works. Oh, okay. Should have a dual... Oh no, dual horn got taken off, didn't it? In Project Drive. There we go. That does actually sound a little bit sweeter than it did before, so let's chalk this up to a win. Once we've driven it up and down the road a couple of times, we'll plug the P-scan back in and see if it's lost that code. Okay, so we're now back from a day out in the Rover, having just finished doing the service and the steering wheel this morning. We had an afternoon as a family day out because it's Bank Holiday Friday. And actually having some extreme comfort in our little, well, baby Bentley, as I'm starting to call the thing. It ran perfectly as we expected, and the new steering wheel has really made a massive difference to the interior. Got a nice wood rim steering wheel, and we've got our sepia dials. That's all very, very nice indeed. Rover's doing very well indeed. As to whether or not we keep it on the fleet or not, it's still a little bit up in the air and undecided, but I'm certainly enjoying having it around for the time being. I will apologise for the focus a little way through the servicing part of the video. I think some oil actually got on the camera lens and I didn't notice it until later on. Sorry about that. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this video and the progress we've made with this car, improving it again and again, making it better and better. If you have, as always, like and subscribe and join us again doing something, well, completely different on another car. Thank you and goodbye.